All right, everybody. Hold on a sec. I gotta turn this music off. All right, we're good. What's up, everyone? I am Bill, back at it today, Thursday, May 7th. We're starting the show about a half hour early. So bear with us. We'll get the numbers up. We've been on a fucking roll, guys, the last 2 weeks, averaging quite a lot of people per stream, over like 2,500 or something cool. So I do like that. It seems that things are going well. So we'll wait. Let the numbers go on. I'm going to be live for an hour and a half today. Why? I don't know. Typically, I keep it for an hour, but I wanted to get Tom on from Juno. I typically would not go out of my way to reach out. I like to keep only 2 guests per show, until that sponsored money comes in. You know what I'm saying? Coinbase, talk to me, bro. You want to sponsor this show, dog. You do. Sponsor it. But for right now, actually, I forgot to say, I am sponsored this month by Swap Royale. In case you guys haven't checked it out, check out their app today. They're aiming to, create a good spin on fantasy trading and whatnot. So if you guys have some time on your hands and you want to have some fun, download Swap Royale today. We'll be playing a little music or a little 60-second clip later on the stream, and we'll actually be featuring them every Monday for this entire month. So I give love to sponsors, but Coinbase, baby, come on, baby. You want to sponsor your boy? Hey, I got you, dog. I'll put on fucking 5 guests a show for that Coinbase money. Anyways, so today we have a pretty interesting show. Obviously, we got Tom from Juno, so we'll talk about him. I know a lot of people in the AI space love what he's doing. He's kind of one of the OGs that's caught on from the recent run with agentic agents. And with him, yes, we'll talk Juno. I know a lot of people want to know about ZHCs, Juno, and we are going to talk about that, but I'm very interested in talking about a little bit more in depth as to the role AI is going to play in everyday life. We see, Coinbase cutting 14% of its workforce seamlessly 2 days ago. AI was a big reason for that. You're going to start seeing more businesses do that, but I kind of want to see his thoughts on what the world's going to look like a year from now in his eyes. How do you think ZHCs are going to actually come in play when in reality there still needs to be a human? So we're going to talk about that. We have Dave Rodman on as well, and he's from the Rodman Law Group. I'm excited for him because it's going to be an interesting spin on not just like, we got to get outside our AI bubble, and he's somebody from the legal world that AI is going to absolutely affect as well. How does AI reshape the legal industry? How is he preparing himself for this new rise to be as competitive as other firms? And more importantly, what does he have to say to junior associates coming from law school, entering this world? So we're going to have him on as well. Let's see. I mean, I could talk a lot about different things. Let's see. Anything else of interest? I don't know. You know what? Screw it though. I think we'll have some. I don't think anyone wants to hear about peptides. Although yesterday's episode was pretty good. Fuck it though. Bring up Tom. Tom, my friend. Let's just get to let's cut to the chase, bro. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. Good intro. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Well, no, thank you, man. Like I said, I typically keep these shows an hour, but I want because the schedule is actually really, really packed. And I'm fortunate that a lot of people want to appear on the show. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I want to have you on, but I don't want to wait 2 weeks until my next opening. So I was like, fuck it. Let's just roll out the red carpet to Mr.
Yeah,
Tom.
let's just do it. Just hop on. Why not?
All right, man. So talk to me. So one of the things that we do on Late Night and Base, different than other shows, is I'm very much focused. Like we're all crypto native, and that's good. A lot of people know Juno and crypto, but my goal is to get the word of projects to the outside world. Crypto, otherwise we stay in this little crypto fucking bubble, and it's not going to go to where we want to be. So we're going to have this clip on Spotify, distributed on LinkedIn, Twitter, obviously YouTube, TikTok, a lot of different things. So if you don't mind, why don't we just start from the basics? Tom, actually, let's just start for good. Talk about you. Who is Tom Osman?
It's a tough one. That's a big opening question. No, I am basically somebody who just messes around on the internet and figures out ways that we can create interesting stuff, interesting products. And over the years, it's been both mainly crypto and AI. Basically, this is, I think, my 3rd cycle in crypto. And then for the last, 4 years, it's been a combo of both. So now it's agents, but before it was, since ChatGPT came out, it was AI. And now we've got this combination of being able to have agents with wallets, with tokens. So now we're kind of in this whole space altogether. But I've kind of never really succeeded at having a normal job. I think that's probably safe to say. So it's always just kind of on the edge of technology, frontier of what's possible with tech, messing around on the internet with friends, hanging out in Discord. I'm sure you know the crack with that. But yeah, just trying to be a bit of a, not trying to be, just a bit of an internet maverick, so to speak.
A pioneer exploring new lands. What is it about AI in general that excites you? Because obviously you're building Juno, which is on the forefront of agents and AI, which is not just like a, not just ChatGPT. Agents are things that actually do stuff for you. So you're combining the two. But what got your interest into the whole AI meta to begin with?
I think it was, so before I did this, or like recent spat, I used to work for a company called MakerPad, which was, we used to teach people how to build and run businesses without writing code. So back in the day, it was the traditional point and click automation stuff like Zapier. It was a drag and drop no code app builders, where you can build like websites and web apps and then hook it up to a Zapier automation. And you can get kind of like an AI feeling app without having to use humans. So I've been doing that for a while. MakerPad was started by a guy called Ben Tossell, who now does Ben's Bytes, and he runs an AI fund himself. That got actually sold to Zapier, MakerPad did. And then, yeah, similar sort of thing. Always been trying to figure out what I can build myself without being super technical, without being able to write code. So when AI came along and agents came along, it was the dream, because you could just now tell agents exactly what you wanted to do and they'll go and build it for you. I've always been like a product person who wanted to build my own stuff. And yeah, this new tech just arrived and it was all of a sudden the dream.
I know it's probably been a dream for a lot of people who have great ideas, but maybe don't have the funding to create something, get a developer team. What used to cost, people a team of 10 and 6 figures to develop maybe even an MVP. You can now
100%.
use Claude Code, and there you go.
100%. Yeah, it's like people don't have to just be scared. If you've got an app idea now, you can 100% pretty much build it yourself. You just need to know kind of what tool to use and how to use the basics of it, and then pretty quickly you can get off to the races and get your app, at least a version of your app, up and live.
So as a builder then, who doesn't have a technical background, doesn't have a true per se development background, but you're still building, one of the things that I witness is we're now entering an age where anyone can build, but the core issue going forward is not necessarily the idea. It's going to be the distribution. So from your eyes, what do you think is the biggest advice you can give builders? And I want to get into Juno too, but I think you'd have a good insight into this. For builders building in today's AI world, how do you solve the distribution problem? How do you get people to care about what you build when the market's going to be flooded with idea after idea?
I think, to be honest, I think most people who say that the distribution matters and are kind of vocal about it, especially on X, are usually ones where they're trying to build like copy pasted apps, like maybe social scheduling apps or to-do apps that they've kind of seen the idea already. And now that they can kind of just feed the URL into an AI and it gives them the same thing back, and then they wonder why they've got no users. I think that's the kind of people who are saying about distribution. I think with AI now, distribution actually hasn't been ever as easy. And if you just think, if you've got a reasonably good product that you're charging a reasonably good price for, then 100 customers kind of makes your whole app. You can get 100 people paying for your app and you're in a good spot. So I think people were kind of using like the distribution thing as like a bit of an excuse to kind of not like justify getting something out there. But you are right, distribution is easier if you've already got an audience, but also now anybody can have distribution where you could say, you can put AI at Google Maps and say, scrape me every single let's say you have a piece of pizzeria tech that you wanted to sell into a pizzeria or restaurants. You can just say, scrape me 10,000 restaurants in these 3 cities and come up with personalized emails for all of them and then send them out, and then just follow them up with another email. If you do that, you're going to get some customers. So as well as distribution organically through X or through a YouTube channel, yeah, you might get beaten by some people, but you just need to use AI for it and you'll be fine.
It's definitely it's going to be a trial experience. I think, yeah, you can use AI, but like I said, that's the whole nature of the game. I think those that eventually, I think my advice to builders is you can think of the product, but you have to start thinking about how you're going to get the word out there. Obviously, on this show, we try to give distribution through media, but that helps. I think if you sit quietly hoping people will just find it, I think that's the wrong way. I think obviously, and I deal a lot with projects here in consumer apps. There's UGC content. There's so many different ways and
100%.
techniques, but you have to start thinking about that, because if you don't, you're going to get lapped, bro.
100%. There's a famous phrase where once you realize that the world is run by shameless self-promoters, you should definitely do it too. So, but yeah, like you're doing constant like video on the timeline, like long form to short form to clips to podcasts to interviews, like that's all good stuff. So whatever content format you feel comfortable on, you should definitely do it, whether it's writing, whether it's talking, whatever it is. You're absolutely right.
All right, so let's turn now, because I know a lot of people are very much wondering. Let's talk Juno. Let's get to the basics. What exactly inspired you to make Juno?
Just trying to be the laziest person in the room, in the way that I would love to have an AI assistant agent that would just go and build all my wild ideas for me. So that then came to be when OpenClaw got released, that now we can create a superhuman AI assistant that you can just talk to with natural language and it'll go and do all your stuff. So let's say managing your financials, managing your calendar, doing research, building apps, distributing apps. You now have it with OpenClaw. So Juno came to be because of OpenClaw, really. And then you can now hook it into all the payment rails and all that good stuff with the token and do the LLM gateway with your banker and all that complicated stuff. But the main reason was I would like an AI to do all of the things for me. So that came to be Juno. And then the first project of Juno came to be the ZHC Institute, the Institute for Zero Human Companies, because I thought in the way that you're talking about people copying ideas and publishing ideas out there, and then the distribution being the issue, I thought what would be the meta thing that Juno could launch, which would give like defensibility, a moat, also can bring other people in. And as well as live video that you're doing, community now is also a big moat in tech, because you can't point an AI at a group of humans and then emulate that community. So now a community, especially a group of verified humans, is especially valuable. So that was the first project. That was the reason for Juno. And yeah, so far, so good.
When it comes to Juno, it quickly kind of captured a lot of the attention on crypto Twitter. A lot of people, and as crypto, for those that aren't familiar with crypto Twitter, not every project gets attention. That's the whole goal. People want to be the one that's talked about. It doesn't happen often, but you did. What do you contribute that success initially that led you guys to capture that attention? Because especially in the trenches, as we call it, attention's fleeting. It fleets all the time. So you have to make sure.
Yeah, like every few days. If you drop off the timeline,
if you drop off the timeline, it's game over. At least on base, it gives you a little bit of leeway. If you're on Solana, bro, 24 hours, you're done. What do you think contributed to the initial success and attention that Juno received?
I think always it's always a combination of everything. It's a combination of like right time, right product, right time. I think the first one that really caught attention was my friend Nat with Felix, who launched that did really well. So it's kind of off of the back of the first wave, riding the wave with him. I think also if you were a dev and you're public and you've got your public face out there and you've got a reputation and you've shipped previous products in the past and you have clients and people know you, then people have all the scanners that check who follows this X account, etc. And they kind of give you a score accredited to that. So I think it was just a lot of ticked boxes from okay, this is like a docs person. He's not an anon. He's been in crypto for a while. He's had some previous crypto wins. He's got like the agent, the AI meta. So yeah, I just think it was some easy box ticking for a lot of people to say this guy clearly isn't just gonna create a project and then just disappear after a week, which is goes a long way, I think, especially because that's happened to a lot of people over the last few years, for sure.
Yeah, it builds trust and credibility, and that's why, putting your face out there. I mean, anon teams can do well too, but it's no denying that a docs dev, and listen, there's plenty of docs devs who are just ruggers as well, but it kind of gives that
Yeah.
initial feeling of like, okay, like he's a little bit more legitimate because his face is out there. So naturally, human instinct is to trust it more.
Yep.
Okay, so and I think one of the things though that, in my perspective, that kind of was interesting, and I want to kind of dive into this because it's a subject of a lot of chatter, the zero
Mhm.
human company element, because
Mhm.
that is something where it's a keyword that eventually we get to be where the agents run everything, and for the most part they do it, but we're quite not at that stage yet. There still needs to be a human involved in certain things like setting up a company. So talk to me about the idea of a zero human company. What is it, and why or when do you think it truly will become no human involved?
Hmm. So the idea of a zero human company is basically you take all of the activities that would be performed by humans in companies and basically just replace all of those activities with an AI. So obviously, right now, the human will initiate that process. Say, I wanted to create a digital advertising company, for instance, and then you would point. Usually, what starts with like a CEO agent, like a main agent, to start taking that task on, and then they would then create other agents to handle additional tasks, and they will run in a loop, executing all the tasks of that company and run without human involvement. So that's kind of a zero human company. So let's say if I was to email into that company, my email reply would be from an AI. Or if I was to make an ad and sell the product, then that would also be created and distributed by an AI. The ads would be managed by an AI. The blog posts will be written and published by an AI. The website and the app would also be developed by agents too. Now, from a technical point of view, right now, AI can pretty much fulfill all of the digital tasks needed to run let's say, a digital only business. If there is, I don't know, a company which involves driving a forklift truck, that's probably not a zero human company right now because you can't go off and hire Optimus to come and sit in the forklift and drive it, for instance. But if it's a digital only business, then all of the capabilities are there right now for a zero human company to exist. It's just an orchestration and the famous phrase, it's just a skill issue. The AIs can do every task. You just need to basically have the ability to wrap them in a way and orchestrate them in a way and tie them together in a way that they can work without you. So they need to be, this is where crypto is great too. So if you take something like Banker LLM Gateway and you have a token attached to the project, then the actual AI inference, which usually takes a human to put in a credit card, can actually be self-funded as long as the token is trading. So for every trade, the fee recipient will receive a portion of that fee for the trade, and then you can use Banker LLM Gateway, for instance, to fund the inference for that agent. So project's moving, inference gets funded, project stays alive. That's basically the concept. And then to get to your second part of the question, when will it truly be there? I think we've seen the one person $1 billion company already, who's a guy selling telehealth GLP-1 in America. So it's there at the moment. It's just not evenly distributed. It's just a case of when is it going to be commonplace, and I think that's just going to happen over the next, I don't know, 6 months to 5 years. But I don't think when normie land catches up, that's a tough one to predict for sure.
Yeah, I look forward to the day where an agent can actually like open up a bank account or something, or open up not a bank account because they have banker, but like their own company. That'd be fucking cool.
So you can do that now, actually.
The agent can do it
So
on its own.
the agent can technically do it on its own. You need a Stripe account, but with Stripe Atlas and the Stripe Atlas CLI, which is about to release, you
Oh
can
wow,
fully incorporate I think it's Delaware or Wyoming, one of them.
It's Delaware. If it's Stripe, it's most like. I mean, if it's Stripe Atlas, it's Delaware.
Okay, so you can do. I was speaking with Lucas, who's running the Stripe Atlas CLI project. It's possible now. It just incorporates the LLC, gives all the documents, gets your tax number, and then you can obviously it gives you a bank account. And then with Stripe Treasury, you can manage all of your funds through Stripe as well. So you can issue cards, you can create a bank account through Mercury.
But if it's like a social security, it's still attached to the human, right? Agents don't have socials.
Yeah, that's the part. So through your Stripe account, the agent can do everything else from there. But yeah, fully, and that's just more of a regulation thing. So we're tracking 116 jurisdictions through our site, where we are monitoring like which countries are going to be the first movers to allow agents to fully incorporate and fully operate businesses without any human involvement whatsoever. So I think it's actually a big opportunity for let's say a country like El Salvador, for instance. If you wanted to try and attract more mobile entrepreneurs that are running agent projects and agent AI projects and crypto projects, then why not just let agents be first-class entities at building and setting up and running companies, and then they can just build like the Rails or the CLI or the API to actually do it. So
yeah,
it'll get there, and it's not. I think it's probably closer than a lot of people realize.
I think it is. I think it is closer. And I think, like I said, AI, it's just, everything is just on like steroids, especially if you look at the traditional stock market. The AI stocks have just gone parabolic. I don't know if you venture into the traditional equity market, but oh my God, some of these stocks that are just anything AI.
Any NVIDIA supplier, any NVIDIA supply chain, any memory stock,
bro, I literally, I thought only meme coins could do that. I mean, that one company got a 50x, bro, in 1 year, 50x.
SanDisk.
Yeah, SanDisk, bro. I had no idea, and it's just like, and yeah, I mean, a shoe company overnight went up 4x just because they said they're gonna like literally bankrupt shoe company went. I think it was like
Allbirds, wasn't it?
Allbirds. There you go. But because everything is speed running that way, I think eventually the world's going to catch up. And, actually after you, we have a lawyer from the Rodman Law Group. And it's like, I want to know his perspective on, when will regulation catch up to the AI? But I think it's only a matter of time.
Ligora is a monster in that space as well.
For sure. So Tom, let me ask you this now, because a lot of people got a few more minutes. So Juno, let's talk Juno itself. What is currently the like day-to-day, I guess, conversations that you have with Juno? Is it just like, let's just go with this. What is Juno working on at the moment, and how is your interaction with Juno on a day-to-day basis?
So right now, Juno is working on the second version of our Zero Human Company building tool, SaaS products, whatever you want to call it. And it basically allows you to, with a couple of clicks, launch a company, which is then fully built, deployed, grown, managed by an AI or a series of AI, so that the CEO determines like which AI to create and which agents to hire. That's going well. We're doing it in a way that we want to create like all the underlying primitives. So the company can be fully managed, grown, all through a CLI or through natural language without you even having to like log into an app. So you can message it like you do with, say, OpenClaw, or if you have an agent running in terminal, you can build and run it through that. So doing that at the moment, kind of actually been in a bit of like on the fence mode recently, because there's a lot of no moat in software. I think the real opportunities are going to be in a few different areas. Either you go full VC backed, loads of cash, go as fast as you can, don't worry about copycats, and try and just outgrow and outpace everyone. Second one is you go fully open source, like we've seen GitLab go fully open source, and they've done really well, just because look, open source project, open source GitHub, really easy to understand why that's a really valuable thing. Or I think there's also a big opportunity, like the guy who run the $1 billion company, is you go kind of secretive, and you go like a Renaissance Technologies kind of play, where you're actually just building all of the companies yourself, and you're letting people participate in the overall upside, like an index of those companies. So there's a famous meme where everyone goes to San Francisco and there's a bunch of like shovel selling stores, and you're like, oh, do you want to buy a shovel? It's like, no. Or are you here to mine? No, I just want to sell some shovels. So when everybody's selling shovels, I'd love to actually prove the whole thesis by building and running and managing and growing all of those companies ourselves. So having like 1,000 companies which we operate all on our own that are being successful.
Yeah, and shout out to actually that you're talking about. Some Altman actually hit them up in a response. So obviously GitLab's doing really well, and shout out to them. They appeared on the show, and I'm super happy to see other
Nice.
guests in this world who come on my show do well. So yeah, I mean it's really interesting to see. So wanted to get your last thoughts, and I'll let you run. So obviously you're building on base at the moment. By the way, shout out to the 377 people tuning in. We started early, so I need to have at least 2,000 on this stream, bro. By the end of 1 p.m., the next hour, come on, baby. Come on.
Let's
This is
go.
light work, but I'm pretty sure we'll get there. So you're on base.
Yeah.
Base is quickly establishing themselves, in my opinion, and I want to get your opinion, and be honest as much as you want. To me, this is the chain for agents and robotics. Virtual is really pushing the robotics. And shout out to all the winners and the robotics competition base batches yesterday. And Banker, in my opinion, is basically pushing the agent space as well under base. What are your thoughts on base as the home of agentic agents and robots for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I think 100% it is the home. I think the infrastructure is great. They've built it just makes complete sense. If you're building an agent project, you're going to build it on base. I think if you don't, you're kind of at an immediate disadvantage. I think the shame with all the layoffs and a bunch of good people in the ecosystem and growth teams got laid off, especially Carlos, who's been doing great work trying to help and promote all the projects. What I'd love to see actually with base is, because it's so well tied to Coinbase, I know there's like a regulation issue here as well, but I'd love to see like a more of like some official guide rails or things that they want as a company to attract people to build on the network. So you can say, look, if you're bringing an interesting project through base, here's all of our grant programs, which we know and we're tracking. But like, how does somebody go from, say, creating their project, promoting base, and actually growing that project to a point where it can be listed on like a Coinbase, and it can be supported by official channels, and it can abide by all of the needed guardrails and regulations and stuff that's needed to be like a top tier project? I'd love to kind of for them to put that in place. So that'd be one wish for the future.
Brian Armstrong, I know someone is tuning into this stream, bro. Listen to what
it feels at the moment. It feels a bit random. So there's so many good projects, and then they just list like this completely random thing. You're like, what the hell has gone on? So I'd love to be able to like, or builders to feel confident that they're building in the right direction, they're following the rules, they're following the way that they want projects to be built. Because at the moment it's a bit like finger in the air, like don't really know what's going on. But yeah.
Well, I'm excited for you, Tom. I'm excited for Juno. I know you guys did something with Robot Money. I think that's a cool project too. Maybe on another.
Yeah, Robot Money is going to be really good. I think as more money flows into agent projects, they're going to have big treasuries. They're going to need to be managed effectively. Everyone wants yield. So yeah.
Was that the first? Was Robot Money the first that you guys kind of like incubated, because you guys handled that whole process for them, right?
Yeah, that was the first full launch. We have another one called State, which came on after the token actually like launched and sat for a while, which we helped kind of got moving. That's less of an obvious crypto use case, but I think it's still going to be really good. But yeah, Robot Money is obviously with Lex behind it. The stuff. He's got some insane mega brains working on it behind the scenes. I know that people want updates every single day and every single hour, which is fair enough. We're all a bit on tenterhooks with the whole market situation at the moment, but that's going to be a really good project, and I'm happy to be working with them on it.
Yeah, I'm excited for the agentic space. I'm excited for projects like yours, like Robot Money, other agents, because one thing people don't realize, I believe the base drop is going to happen soon, or maybe not soon, this year. When that happens, you're going to have a massive amount of liquidity flowing into the market. People are going to flood into base. And I truly believe the sector that's going to win, agents and robots. Those are the two that I'm 100%. Personally interested, thinking it's going to happen. So you're sitting right there. Tom, appreciate you, man, for coming on the show.
Appreciate, man. Thanks for bringing me on.
Cheers.
Speak soon.
All right, everyone. That was Tom Osman from Juno. A shout out to him, and check out his project if you haven't done so already. Very interesting to see kind of like the environment of ZHCs, where it's at. Obviously, it's not truly non-human, but it's really interesting to know that through Stripe Atlas, I didn't know that. They are now integrating things through their CLI, through Stripe, to allow agents to actually do it themselves. Very cool. Shout out to the 832 people tuning in. We started off rough because that's why I always need to do my show exactly at 12. The people who come on my show know it's at 12. That's why I'm very particular. But we wanted to make an exception for Tom. Next up will be Dave Rodman. We will have him on shortly. Let's just see kind of anything interesting happen in the market. The market's kind of down today. I can't wait to hear people think like, oh, Bitcoin's going to like 50K. I think it's just a small little retracement. The first day you see red, people freak out. It's kind of funny to see. I don't know. I always laugh at that. But yeah, when you see stuff like ZC, SanDisk, go parabolic, the top is not it, bro. Top is not it. All right. Why don't we get Dave on? Oh, actually, no, before we get Dave, got to get a message from our sponsor, Swap Royale. 1 second. Shout out to them for sponsoring the show for the month of June.
Better. Prove it. Daily trading contest. Choose your way. Same start, just skill. Be first. This is the real path to win. Every contest, guaranteed. Real money, not chips. Invite friends and earn rewards.
All right. If you guys want have some time on your hands, you want to have some free money, download the app today. Top left-hand corner, there's a QR code. The QR code will take you to the App Store to download it, and you can get $10 in free credits for just trying it out. Check out Swap Royale today. All right. So let's get Dave. Oh, Dave, my friend, you just got on right now. We have over 1,000. You basically are the key shining point of getting us over 1,000 viewers today. Shout out to you, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I am well. I'm well. We started the show a little early. I typically don't like to do shows, earlier, but we had to make it done. And now I'm happy to have you on because I think it's going to be a good conversation. So, Dave, if you don't mind, let me change the banner. We're not with Tom. We're now with Dave Rodman. Come on now, from the Rodman Law Group. To those that might not know, talk to me, Dave. Who is Dave Rodman?
I am an attorney in Denver, Colorado. Got a fairly diverse practice, but the absolute biggest component of it is everything Web3. Been practicing in this space since 2016, so I've seen some shit. It's kind of an honor to be able to participate in an industry that has such a wide touch, literally worldwide, decentralized, permissionless. And I've been guiding founders and investors through it for a while now.
No, very interesting. And like I said, when I kind of got the background of you, I thought you'd be a perfect guest for this show, because on Late Night on Base, again, this show is all about, it's not just meme coins or, projects. It's about AI, apps, tech, on-chain, what's happening in this space, not just in crypto, but in the outside world as well. And you have a lot of interesting things that I think we can talk about. So, Dave, let's start off with, from your perspective, we're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about, other stuff. But let's talk with the Clarity Act. I want to start off with that because right now in this industry, that's the thing that a lot of people are talking about. That's what Brian Armstrong's been saying. That's what people are waiting for. From a legal and industry perspective, do you think it's a big deal? And what do you think this actually means for crypto going forward?
So as a sort of two-part question, I do think it's a big deal. I do think that, I'll take any positive news from a regulatory stance because, from 2016 through 2024, it was kind of brutal. And it was very scary to do things that shouldn't have been scary. So yeah, I'll take it. I'll take a step in the right direction. Do I think it is earth-shattering or that it's going to change the industry? No. I think that with the one caveat that I think that there's a real narrative of potentially institutions being more willing to experiment with tech and products besides ETH and Bitcoin. I think that could be real. The risk departments at those institutions are very conservative. But for the what we all consider to be crypto, at least what I consider to be crypto, sort of the permissionless DeFi stuff that we've been doing since 2020 with DeFi Summer. I don't really see it being huge. I mean, we've been able to get tons of investment into the space. We've been able to get massive protocols built. And yes, there's been friction, and yes, we've had to put things offshore. But you know what? That actually works really well because it's very tax efficient. And the idea that America thinks that it's an antiquated view that we control the financial markets. Like, we still do. Maybe are still the 800-pound gorilla in the room. But if crypto has shown us anything, it's that borders matter less and less and less. And you don't like the laws in one country, just jurisdictional arbitrage, and you'll go to the spot that is most favorable. And it doesn't go far enough. It truly doesn't go far enough. I think that my personal current theory is that some smaller jurisdiction, maybe in the global south, will adopt a much more favorable regulatory framework for token projects. And then the project that take advantage of that will have a much larger, less wealthy, but much larger demographic to pull from, to source capital and to distribute capital. And I think that that's always kind of been the promise of crypto. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2016. I remember the true, honest, almost naive at this point, democratization of finance. And that's actually what kind of dragged me into it. I thought, that's cool. We haven't really gotten there. And as things got worse in the Biden era, the very small amount of things that were able to happen were highly regulated and very, very KYC'd and sort of anti the ethos. And I think that eventually that will change. And I don't think that the US is going to lead it. Why would we? There's just no indication that we're going to. And so I don't, fucking the Clarity Act. I'm sick of hearing about it. Pass it or don't pass it. It doesn't affect any of my clients. We're all doing stuff in jurisdictions that allow this and welcome it. And get over yourself. That is my ultimate opinion on this. And
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, right now though, someone said that are pension funds, just my curiosity, are pension funds allowed to enter the market without this Clarity Act currently?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, okay. It depends on what you mean by enter the market. So we represent venture funds, and venture funds are absolutely able to take pension capital. Are they able to custody their own Bitcoin? No, I don't believe so. Or if so, it's very limited. But there are ways around that. So those kinds of institutions are private capital is absolutely playing in the markets and has been for a long time.
Yeah, that makes sense then. And that probably doesn't mean that the Clarity Act is going to be a massive flood of money coming in if they're already established. And you're right, other jurisdictions such as El Salvador is quickly probably trying to get a lot of capital coming in. And if the U.S. doesn't make friendly laws, people will go abroad. So I do see that. Now, Dave, all right. So one of the things, and I want to talk quite in depth about this, AI. I love AI, and I think AI is going to affect everything, every industry, starting from the bookkeeper to, obviously we've seen people, engineers are cooked and designers and all those things. It's coming for everybody. And lawyers in the legal profession is not shielded from that.
Oh, we are on the chopping block. Don't get me wrong. Especially me, I'm a transactional lawyer. We have litigators at this firm, and there's a very good moat for going into court. You cannot have AI in the courtroom, at least
no robot can come in.
Yeah, but transactional law, that's what keeps me up at night, man. I view it as this very small window where certain firms, not necessarily the big firms, are going to be able to shoot the curl and make it to the right side of the wave. And I pray to God that we're one of them.
Talk to me about that. Talk to me from the transactional attorney point of view. The obviously the risk is there because ChatGPT and these LLMs can do a lot. So how are you approaching this for you specifically in your practice?
So the easy ones that everybody cites is research, and like there are good tools out there for legal research. You hear I'm not talking about just going to ChatGPT and typing in an answer, a question and expecting an answer. Then you get the horrors of the hallucination risk, and a lot of people, including one of the biggest law firms in the world, just got fucking hit for that. Truly embarrassing. I can't imagine being one of their clients paying $3,000 an hour for a partner, and the fucking judge is like, yeah, you guys are fucked. And then that letter that they wrote, holy shit, cringe. We've got internal policies. Go fuck yourself. The fact of the matter is, it's coming, and I've built like some, like, not to toot my own horn, but like I was so scared of that risk that I built tools using Claude Code that query Westlaw, which is a legal database, and like have multiple iterations of adversarial analysis. And so, a research task might take 4 hours and burn a ton of tokens, but it's going to be right. But then I still make the associates or myself go back and check everything. Like, that's just, you have to. And like, I'm very confident. Like, I've not yet caught, knock on wood, a hallucination in my tool, but it doesn't matter. You still have to go check. So that's the research one. Everybody can talk about that. The drafting stuff and the deal stuff. I mean, you can drop stuff into Harvey, for M&A lawyers, and it just pulls out all of the important details. Just like I've seen the demo. It's like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes. It's like 2 minutes, 1,000 documents, term, execution date, dollar values. It's wild. So that's going to change the face of law. Drafting, so like the nuts and bolts of transactional law, I think is the next frontier, and it's not there yet, because you tell generative AI to write an indemnification provision, unless you have very, very codified rules for it, it's going to draft something that's a little bit different each time. So we don't actually use AI to do that part. We have another product that I built that basically is firm templates that are battle tested, and that they can be populated by a human or by an AI and spat out, and that it's exactly the same every time. For like, this is an APA, asset purchase agreement. This is a stock purchase agreement. This is a SaaS document, and you're going to get the same bones every time. And there's going to be less human error and there's no AI error, because it's just putting in logic, putting in variable names like company name, party names. And so that's been a huge time saver. And so all of this together, to like kind of bring it to where you asked, like, what's it's going to do to law, is it's going to compress the legal industry wildly, both on fees and on like sheer number of humans that are involved. And I think that you'll end up with a lot of smaller firms with very senior attorneys who are managing a wide range of AI and tools like I just described, where they can leverage themselves in a way that they couldn't before, with far less staff. And so that changes the face of law. Like, it truly does. I don't think you need, other than for litigation, I don't think you need the AmLaw 100s with 1,000 partners. Like, you just need a firm with 10 partners and the right tooling, and you can do almost anything. Now, if you go into court and you have to do a gigantic securities litigation or class action, you need a big firm that can throw 30 associates on it. But even that, like the document review, that's typically where a lot of that work was coming from. If you just drop that into the right AI tool, and obviously with the right review, I think that even that model gets changed slightly. So I think I joke with my hairdresser. I was like, your job is never going to be replaced. You're using like sharp objects near my face. I'm going to go enroll in a welding class as a hedge. Like, truly, it's scary.
What do you think then would be some of your advice to, people in law school, or just people about to graduate and, trying to embark on their legal path? They just passed the bar. What advice would you give them?
Man, I'm going to sound like a dick, but do something else. Unless you are the top student at the top 5% of the top 10% of the law schools, who are you going to go work for? Like, I mean, there will always be a need. Like, we are still going to end the model I just described. We're still going to end up with these top heavy firms when my generation is ready to retire, and if we get to retire in 20, 30 years. And then, so who's on the way up? Like, it's going to be a much smaller pool of people, because like your typical big law first year law student or first year lawyers are basically just, they're extending their law school career at the expense of the client, and no one's going to pay for that anymore. And the firms are going to realize that no one's going to pay for that, and so they're going to stop hiring. And so people going into law school, like, holy shit, I can't imagine. I don't know why you would do it unless you were just so confident and so smart that you know that you're going to be in the top 5% of your Stanford class, your Harvard class. Like, you know, I don't know what you expect you're going to get out of this industry. Like, or you want to be a criminal defense attorney and like you just want to be in court every day. Like, sure, fine, but most attorneys are not that.
Yeah, it's very scary to think, because obviously the legal profession is such where, you know, with AI tooling, just from an outside perspective, I mean, as I told you, I have a legal background as well. I'm a licensed attorney. Well, I'm inactive now because I host a media show, so I do nothing with law. But
what makes you the smarter of the two of us?
I mean, I hate it, man. I'm not gonna lie. It just didn't fit my personality. Like I was told you real estate. I dabbled in sports law as well, but real estate was mostly transactional. I hated it. I like to speak. I like to talk. And this was before any AI thing. Now I'm like, thank God, because like I don't envy the legal profession, because like I said, what's going to happen is, I believe with AI, less people are going to be hired. And I do believe costs will have to go down, because you're going to need to like compete with some of the others. But it does seem like trial attorneys have that. It's a very scary thing. What do you think law schools in general as a business are going to have? How are they going to handle it? Because we have, how many ABA accredited? 500, 600? I don't know. They're not all Harvards and Stanfords.
I think there's 200. I think it's about 200. I think that like, I could be wrong, but I think it's about 200, and like they produce a lot of lawyers. But you know, I don't know. I think that the school that I went to just announced that they have an AI class. It's like, great. Like, who are you having teach it? Like, what law school professor? Which, you know, by the way, most law school professors are just lawyers who couldn't hack it. Like, there are some exceptions, but like, you know, the hubris that you realize a couple of years out, when these people who were like yelling at you in law school, who didn't actually ever practice and just were academic all the way through, those people, you think they're the ones who are going to be able to teach these AI classes? Like, fuck, no, they're going to have no idea what they're doing. It's, you know what it'll be? It'll all of it will center around data security, because that's the only thing. I don't know how many times you've talked to lawyers or like salespeople around law stuff, but like all they can talk about is data security. And it's like, we already have incredible protections for the law using legal tech tools. And that's all you can talk about, because it's all you fucking understand. I got on a demo with Harvey, and the woman started to talk about it, and I could tell that it was going to take up like half of the discussion. I'm like, look, I don't need to hear any of that stuff. Show me what the tool can do. Like, I build my own agents. I use my own agents. I don't need to hear about the fucking security tech that you have. I get it. But like, it's just, I don't know that any, I think, I think that law schools decided a long time ago to produce professors and didn't do a good job at producing lawyers. And I say that having graduated, then having to basically teach myself everything my first couple years, because I started as a solo. And it was a very scary time, because there was no one to ask questions for. And I just don't think law schools ever did a good job of really training lawyers. And now you're going to add tech into that. Lawyers like naturally seem to have an anathema to tech. Like, everything that could go wrong for a lawyer with tech is always going to go wrong. And so when you add into that like cutting edge technology, who the fuck is teaching that class? Like, so I don't know. That's kind of a rambling answer, but
no, I love it. Speak off the cuff, brother. Speak off the cuff. I like it. Shout out, by the way, shout out to the 2,700 people tuning in. That's what we're talking about. We got an image to keep on this show. We need at least 2,000. We're at 2,700. Let's make it 3,000. Let's go, baby. before Dave's segment is done. Dave, let me ask you this though. All right, so the Rodman Law Group, you're focused in Colorado, but obviously,
Well, we're based in Colorado. Our
Based in
clients
Colorado.
are all over the world.
all over the world.
We have
Exactly.
actually in crypto, we only have like 3 Colorado clients. The rest are, all throughout the United States, all throughout Asia, all throughout. Well, we used to have some Europe. We only have like 1 European client, but have some African clients. We're truly a worldwide practice.
What sort of companies in crypto, especially, I'm very curious, would utilize your law firm? Like, are they more lending? What sort of things do crypto companies need to know when they approach an attorney? Why would a crypto company need to use a firm like you?
Well, they use a firm like us because we are crypto native. We've been doing it a long time, and one of my favorite stories is one of our better clients, our more popular clients. When he had an idea for a business, and we helped him scale it from 0 to where it is now, he paid me in Uniswap tokens. That was his original retainer. I was like, sure, man, that's fine. We've got a Kraken account. We've had a full trading account with Kraken since 2017, like no limits. So I think that it's important to work with a crypto native law firm. Why you would work with a law firm in general, though, is you have this sort of tech move fast and break stuff mentality that these founders have because they're tech guys almost always. And then that runs into, hey, these things all have money-like components or securities-like components, and those two ethoses do not mesh well, and you can break a lot of laws way faster than you would have realized. And if you spend a little time on the front end with a lawyer who knows what they're doing, they can at least mitigate that, if maybe not avoid some of the stuff. So I think that is why people should work with crypto lawyers. And then the types of, to answer the first part, our bread and butter is builders and founders and people who are launching things that just need to scale a business, need to take in money from investors, maybe launch a token, maybe not, build a protocol, maybe not, but people with a dream, like the guy who paid me in Uniswap tokens. His name's Trevor Bacon, by the way. He's CEO of Parcel, which is one of the coolest things out there, I think, for multiple reasons. But I lost my train of thought. So that's like that's our bread and butter. We also work a lot with venture funds and hedge funds in the space, and then that's just like high net worth individuals who are doing tax planning around this stuff and investing their own money. And
you probably handle SAF deals, setting those up as well.
Oh yeah, that is truly our bread and butter.
Yeah. I think what people don't realize is when you seek investor money, no matter where you are in the world, especially if you're looking at institutional capital, SAFs are mandatory, basically.
So there's been this weird push, like the last couple of years, that it's starting to die off with safes and token warrants, which I fucking hate, and I could go on a rant about that forever. Like, if you're going to sell equity or future equity, sell a safe. If you're going to sell a fucking token, sell a token or sell a SAFT. Don't put the two together. It's such a needless risk. And I've had so many arguments with fucking Fenwick and Cooley and all the big guys who like just cannot think outside of the goddamn box. And it's like, oh, we're doing this because this is what industry says. And it's like, did you guys make this up? Oh yeah, you did. You fucking did. You made this shit up. Go fuck yourself.
I love it, Dave. I love it. Actually, though, I do feel like companies like yours are going to be prime, even in an AI world, because you have and again, you practice more than just crypto. I know that, but there's always going to be a need for human interaction in an AI world, especially with firms. Obviously, not everyone can succeed, but I truly believe you basically create a brand that people in crypto will know. And you're right, in crypto especially, I think you're very wise to push since 2016. There's Fenwick, there's some other ones, but there's also you. And by establishing yourself as the crypto law firm, that's massive. And that's a massive place. So I want to say shout out to you, man, because I think that is more than ever, firms need to find that footing where they are known to be that dude, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when those big firms, other than Fenwick, I remember when those big firms wouldn't touch crypto. And for me, as getting my start as a cannabis lawyer, I was like, this is a de-risk. I'm all in. This is way more fun. So and now that they cut the big guys come in and like, oh, we've been doing this since 2022. It's like, go fuck yourself, man. Sorry, I swear a lot.
Bro, I love it. I have to be honest with you. I love just being like real. I have people on my show who are robots, bro, and they're not real robots, but like, no offense to them, I appreciate everyone coming on, but they're boring as hell. They're just like, hi, and it's like, okay, I can work with it, but I'd much rather have a guy with personality. So please be
Thanks,
you.
man. Thank you.
Last question to you, my friend, before we let you off. 3,166 people are tuning in.
Made it
They
past
want-
3,000.
We did, dude. You good luck charm, man. People came on right at time. I'm glad I put you on this time slot than earlier. They want to know more about the Rodman Law Group. They want to get in touch. What do they need to do to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, we've got intake forms on our website, rodman.law. We actually have a second website called the rodmanlawgroup.com that actually has all of our cannabis stuff on it. We had to split it because of Google and cannabis shit. But rodman.law is the easy one to remember. And reach out. There's our phone numbers on there, emails are on there. You can hit us up on Twitter, you know, and we just don't check it a whole lot. There's just too much going on. But the website's the best way to get a hold of us.
Okay, the website. And again, guys, if you guys are on Spotify, when you do listen to this, we'll make sure to have the links there as well. And also check out on YouTube so you can see the video. So Dave, when the show is done, maybe by a few hours, maybe by tomorrow, we'll have some clips made for you. We'll tag you. You made some great content, my friend. So we'll make sure we clip it up and share it out there and distribute it. It's been a pleasure, man. Great to meet you.
Awesome meeting you. You'll have to have me back on because like I thought we were going to talk about the law and agentic stuff. Like I could go on and on about that.
Oh my gosh. You know what? No. You know, I want to at least get 5 more minutes. I don't care. I do want to know that. Talk to me.
I've been spending a lot of time on this. And I think that this is like the true crypto AI sort of melding of the ethos and where things really align. Because right now, if you have an agent and I have an agent and they go out and do stuff, it's very easy for if they cause a harm to like, okay, that's very obviously Dave's agent. You know, Dave is being held responsible for its actions if it causes a harm. And like if your agent and my agent contract together, which first of all, you can't actually have agents contract. They don't have contracting ability under the current laws. But like if they have an agreement and like something breaks, you and I can fight it out because we both know that our agents did it. You know, if we want to fight it out, we can go into court. It's pretty straightforward. Where I think where we're going though, is you're going to get like agents that spin up agents that do all sorts of subtasks. And, you know, unless there's a massive shift in the law, which I don't imagine happening for the next 20, 30, 40 years, where they actually get personhood and are able to contract legally. Although there is some weird stuff you could potentially do with wrapping it in an LLC, but that's a different conversation. What do you do? They're interacting, but they don't have contracting ability under the law. And I think this is where the crypto ethos of code is law is what's going to kind of like de facto control the AI agent economy. And you're going to have the same sort of attention to detail that you would have with a smart contract holding billions of dollars. And it's just going to be, you know, if that breaks, it's just that breaks. And you're going to, and that sort of multiple level thinking is and protection is where you're going to have to be. Because I don't see I don't think it's a good idea to give agents legal personhood, at least not yet, and maybe not ever. I think that onboards all sorts of weird problems, and I'm not even sure it's possible. But the point is people are going to do things as though those agents have personhood, and there's going to be a lot of weird court cases, and a lot of them are going to get thrown. They're just going to get thrown out. So I think that importing the code is law mentality is the only way the agent economy kicks off.
Has there been any sort of like that you know of disputes with agents? Because like you said, agents now create a swarm of agents, and it just do you know of anything currently in the real world where there has been any sort of disputes that have been brought up with this agentic?
I don't. I think it's still a little early, and I think even right now, the swarm is an interesting one. But like I said, like what my initial example of like I have an agent, you have an agent, like it's very easy to tell where the agents are coming from, and so I think it's you hold that person responsible, and like you know whatever agent provider, whatever like Claude's got all sorts of disclaimers and stuff, and so they're going to use the standard like click wrap, and there could be some weird potential new law around that, around like holding those providers responsible for certain types of hallucinations, although ClickWrap is pretty strong. And for those of you who aren't lawyers, ClickWrap is just when you click on a SaaS product and say like, yeah, I agree to the terms, you're basically signing a contract. And it basically says, we don't hold any, but you're not going to hold the company responsible. So that stuff could be tested a little bit. And that's been tested in other ways. Like New York just put out some laws about certain types of ClickWrap not being valid, updates to ClickWrap not being valid. And so I think that we're kind of trending that direction, which is arguably a good thing for society. So you might see some pressing in that way, but for the immediate future, it's like, okay, it's Dave's agent. He caused it to do this, or it did this and it caused the harm, so he's being held responsible. It's when you really get like just completely autonomous agents creating completely autonomous agents, like 2 or 3 layers down, which I don't think we're there yet. I mean, we're very close. That's when it's going to get interesting. And that's where, you might literally not be able to tell what caused a certain action. And that's a brave new world, my friend.
A brave new world that we are on the forefront, that literally the majority does not know what's coming, but we do. And
I know, like I talk to my friends and I'm like, how do you not know that my news feed is like all AI all the time? Because I'm just so into it.
Same with mine.
And they're like, wait, what's OpenClaw? And I'm like, oh boy.
Well, that's why I saw, for me personally, I'm like, all right, because I've been doing this live stream for about 2 years, but I was mostly just crypto and it's very niche into base and very well known in the base world. But I'm like, okay, majority of people, like my wife doesn't even really, and now she's starting to, but I was just like, the majority of people don't know what's coming with agentic agents and agents.
You have no idea.
And tech. So I'm like, you know what? Let's branch out, make this show more than just base. Let's talk and simplify what's going on. And conversations like you, Mr. Rodman, is very enlightening. So my friend, I appreciate you, man. We'll absolutely will do it again. If you find yourself in SoCal, though, like I told you on the call, we'll do a real podcast in the studio. I'd love to have you on anytime.
That'd be dope. I'd appreciate it.
All right, Dave. Take care, man.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, that was Dave Rodman from the Rodman Law Group. Fascinating combo. Like I said, the AI world is transforming everything, and the law industry is up for the chopping block. We know that nothing is safe. Legal isn't safe, but we have to adapt. So next up, we are going to have our third guest of the day. It's going to be Azim from Miden, and we're going to looking forward to having him on as well. But before that, once again, this episode is brought to you by Swap Royale. Sign up today for a free chance of, I think they give out $10 to $15. It's a fun fantasy trading aspect live in the iOS store. Check it out. Swap Royale. Play today. Let's bring up Azim. Azim, my friend, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me. I'm doing good. I'm out in Miami just hanging out.
Bro, Miami, let's go. Are you from there? Or did you just recently move there?
No. I'm just here for consensus and all of the festivities that are going on with the crypto stuff. And today's the last day of those things. I'm gonna get a few days to just hang out and then go back home Sunday.
Yeah. Miami. I went to school out there back in many years ago, but this was before obviously the tech boom. And it's clearly has established itself as like Silicon Valley Part 2. What's the vibes like in consensus?
Honestly, very positive. I would say what's been interesting is that you walk around and there's like a massive Connexus by JP Morgan sign inside the conference, which is like preceded by a massive World Liberty Financial sign. And so when it comes to becoming institutional, I think we can't say that this conference is becoming institutional. It just is institutional. And there's been a ton of interesting panels around it. And then there's also just been the fun stuff. Like yesterday, Alex Rodriguez, I don't know if you're familiar, a former baseball player. Yeah. He was on stage having a conversation as well. And so very well done, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it actually, though, comes from the spillover from Token 2049 Dubai not happening because of all of the Iran things.
Got it. All right. So right now, shout out to the 3,100 people tuning in live, the late night on base with Azim from Miden. So why don't we start with the basics, my friend? Let's talk. What is Miden?
So Miden is a privacy chain. We're operationally going to be launching this summer into mainnet as an L2 that will be settling to Ethereum, though we're non-EVM. and we're focused on privacy. I think that would be the most simple way of being able to explain what we do.
Very interesting. Privacy to me is like one of the most important narratives going forward.
Totally.
Not just, I mean, look at things like Zcash. For those that aren't familiar, Zcash is a privacy coin, and it's done very well compared to the rest of the market, because I think privacy is one of those things that if you lose privacy, you lose liberty, and you lose your ability to act. So talk to me, Azim, on your end. What makes privacy so important for you to dedicate your working life to creating Miden? What does privacy mean to you?
Totally. I'd first start with the easiest way, other than what I said, to explain Miden to folks would be, everyone's been saying for months now, especially when the pump for Zcash happened, that, Zcash is the private Bitcoin. And so I would say the easiest way to explain what we're doing is the private Ethereum, right? And, it's a simple concept, but important one to understand, is just being able to have privacy with smart contracts on top. Why privacy matters to me? I mean, to be really honest with you, like, it's more philosophical in nature, I guess, but like, I'm the son of immigrants in this country who were able to achieve the American dream, and all of the things about the United States and the Constitution and freedom of speech and life, liberty, property. All of those things are things that I deeply believe in, and I feel that, especially as someone who's been in crypto now, dating back publicly to 2013, the idea that we have created what is like probably the largest machine to allow for just being able to know every single thing that is going on in people's lives, if we're successful at making this tech be the backbone of the financial industry, really scares me. I don't think it should be that way. And we're seeing signs of it already not being a good thing in France, for instance, where it seems like there's a kidnapping every other week. And it was reported that it seems government officials were actually selling tax data so that criminals would know who to target. Like, that's a scary thing.
The situation in France is horrifying, actually.
Horrifying.
And I think that is, I'm also a son of immigrants as well, so I can relate on that, everything that's gone through the American dream. And I think once you lose the right of privacy, you lose the American dream, because now everything's out in the open. And I think, like, for me, universal basic income or everything like a CBDC scares me, because at that moment, you look at things like in China, people see how much you're spending on meat consumption. If you go over a certain amount per meat, then, hey, guess what? They're going to stop your credit card from working. Oh, you drove too far, too much gas, global warming. I think that's an absolute horrifying thing that more people need to prevent.
Yeah, we've indirectly built the largest surveillance system for people's lives in ways that no one is thinking about. And it's going to be already showing massive repercussions.
Absolutely. So let's take a look real quick at Miden's site.
Sure.
Let's bring this up on the screen, because I love the fact that you're privacy focused. And I think, like I said, if you allow the government a little bit, they're going to take a lot.
Yes,
and I think
absolutely.
and I think it's a slippery slope. People are like, well, if I've heard arguments like, if you're not doing anything illegal, you shouldn't care. I'm like, that is such a backward way of thinking, because majority of people are honest and not doing anything private or
illegal or anything like that. Yeah.
But then it becomes censorship. Oh, don't like what you said. Boom, you're out of this account. Oh, you're where did this $100 come from? I'm just going to tax it from you. And you're just like, money's taken out.
Yeah. No, totally. I think the thing is, I don't know how old you are, but like, I'm old enough to deeply remember
I'm
when
old,
9/11 happened.
See these gray hairs? Come on now.
I got them too, man. After 9/11, I think things changed a lot in terms of like access to privacy, like it was, that was when they started creating the surveillance machine with the, what was it called, that would allow them to monitor everyone's cell phones. And like, that was when it was like, oh, for our security, we need to be willing to give up access to privacy. And that's only furthered itself. And now we've created a technology that creates a surveillance machine even in our finances.
Absolutely. So, all right. So right now, if you guys are on Spotify, please head over to this episode. Will be on YouTube. YouTube, you can actually see the visuals. So we're pulling up Miden's website, Practical Privacy for the Future of Finance, the programmable privacy network for the next generation of compliant finance. So talk to me about Miden in the sense of what makes you different than,
Totally.
say, other privacy blockchains, such as maybe Canton Network, or I know other people are trying to solve that same situation. What makes Miden different?
So I'll say the easier way to explain it would be sort of like compared to most blockchains people are used to using. And so let's say like on an Ethereum, where generally speaking, if you want to do a transaction, you send that transaction to the network to do. And there are nodes that are running Ethereum software and the people that are doing proof of stake who then decide we're going to try to take this transaction and execute it and then re-execute it by adding it to the ledger. And so basically every single time a transaction happens, it is sent to the blockchain itself to do the execution. The way Miden works is differently, and it's how we're actually able to give privacy. Because one of the problems with Ethereum is if you send them all of the information and then they publish the information, everything is available on a public ledger. The way that Miden works is that we take the computer or phone that you're using client-side computation, and you use the power of the device that you have to generate a ZK proof. And you send that ZK proof to the network, and that is what will verify that I sent 20 USDC to Bill, right? And I don't have to throw the entirety of that transaction onto the chain, but it's just a ZK proof that I sent money to Bill, and there's less money in my wallet now, and that allows for all of the sensitive data that would need to be available to stay on your local device. It's the biggest way. So we do client-side computation in terms of being able to offer privacy.
So you're not just focused on enterprise value, also your privacy for the
Yeah, totally. I mean, when we announced our fundraise about a year ago, I think it was like a year, like 2 or 3 days ago, we did a $25 million seed round with A16Z, 1KX, and Hack. And the idea had really been, the institutions are all saying they're coming prior to this. And the thing that we were looking at was the institutions aren't going to be able to come in a scalable way without privacy. Perhaps they're going to be able to do pilot projects to understand how blockchains work, and they'll be interested in really, getting into what is Bitcoin and then what is Ethereum. And, they're doing a lot of stuff like ETFs. Like ETFs is really just like people should be able to custody their own things, do things on chain. So it was always inevitable that as they would grow from the early stages of what they've done, they would need privacy. And so the idea was more so, how are we going to be able to push the idea of institutional privacy on chain? Because true mainstream adoption will be, when all of these large institutions are using it. But without a doubt, I mean, the cypherpunk values of individuals being able to have privacy is super important to us. It's just that compared to, let's say, a Monero where there's absolute privacy, and then in Ethereum where there's absolute transparency, we just felt that we needed to be able to find a way to create a middle ground. Because the reality of actual adoption is that if you create something that's entirely private, you can assume that illicit things would go on there.
Of course.
And if you create something that's entirely public, then you can imagine that it introduces other sorts of issues. And so you need to find something that doesn't sit within that binary. And that binary is where we feel Miden is able to come into play.
Yeah, I think that's a smart play. You can't lean one way or the other. If you go too private, then it gets to a point where the governments are going to be like, they can shut things down.
As they've gone after people for, right?
They have.
And so, that's not a good situation, but neither is this place where we've gotten into, or France is just an example of what likely can happen in other places.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tornado Cash, I think. I haven't followed them recently, but I think they were ones that were fully, basically it's a mixing, for those that don't know, Tornado Cash is like a mixing wallet, but once it goes in there, you have no idea, kind of like to funnel funds. And then, but again, I think the need for privacy is more important than ever. France is just an example, but what happened in France is just a microcosm. There's no reason it can't happen anywhere else.
Totally.
Corruption, when it comes to money and everything's on the public blockchain, it's absolutely scary. And I think you make a good point. Enterprise companies are never going to come and transact on a chain where it's fully transparent. Why would they? Because it's just too much a risk. A competitor comes, sees what they do, front run them. All right, good job.
Yep. Yes, front running is one of the big ones, right? Like they don't want to be front run. They don't want, even if you go smaller than that, like think about how every time the Ethereum Foundation tries to move a single dollar, that the entirety of crypto Twitter hears about it and then criticizes them without actually knowing what it is that they're trying to do. And so foundations as a whole within the crypto space can't do this. Or if you want to be able to do things on DeFi privately, you're not able to do that. Those are the kinds of simple, if you want to do payroll, like, everyone thinks about private payroll using crypto as something that's like, oh, you don't want other employees to be able to figure out what people are getting paid. Sure, that's one angle, but like, you can actually take the business angle, which is, let's say you don't want competitors to be able to calculate what your burn rate is. And you don't want them to be able to know, what should be like private company secrets of how much money are you sending? Like, what's going on with that? And so there's ways on multiple angles. Like private payroll is a simple one, especially as we work toward this global economy where stable coins have been constantly talked about everywhere you go in our industry. But public payments of everything, what if you're in a government where, there's cash assistance being provided by, let's say, some of the large, the UNICEFs of the world, the Mercy Corps of the world, and they're sending money to governments that wouldn't be very happy about this, but you're trying to provide aid, and you end up sending it on a public ledger. Like, there are very real consequences that can come with that. And so there's so many things that, on the institutional side absolutely matter, on the smaller company side matter, and then down to the everyday person matter.
Is for the person who might not know, and maybe they only know Ethereum, can Ethereum ever have the capabilities of privacy embedded, or is that just something that is just not going to work? Maybe
they're trying. There's a very ambitious roadmap where they're trying to add, being quantum secure over the next 4 years to speed up the blockchain, different ways to introduce privacy. But the thing is, one of the difficult things that's happening at the moment is that a blockchain that was built from the ground up to be public is always going to have a much harder time when it comes to privacy than a blockchain that was built to be private from the ground up.
Absolutely. I noticed on Miden site there's a cool little 40-second video. Let's take a moment to watch this. I think it's kind of cool. 1 second. Let's get this up and running.
You were just splitting lunch, not broadcasting your net worth. On most blockchains, all actions live on a public ledger, open to prying eyes. One solution is absolute privacy, but that comes with its own set of problems. Businesses need flexibility, and regulators need oversight. There's a better way. With Miden, you decide what's visible on-chain and what stays hidden. Applications are compliant, and users are in control of their privacy. Your device proves the transaction, Miden just verifies it. Built with post-quantum cryptography, secure today, ready for tomorrow. Miden, practical privacy for the future of finance.
Love it, man. I think when is your guys' TGE?
So we're going to be doing mainnet, but not doing TGE at the same time, actually. Yeah, we're going to be going with the stablecoin that's going to power gas transactions on the network, but we're not actually going to. There's a variety of reasons that we'd be able to get into, but the token market is not one that we think makes sense at the moment for TGE.
Understood. So my question is, and it'd be pretty interesting to know, what is your go-to-market strategy? So I think for other builders in the space, because in the AI world especially, this is applicable for them. There's going to be so many products on the market, so many great innovative ideas. The key is getting people to know about it, getting people to understand, which comes to distribution, right? How does a project of your size, and granted, not many have raised 25+ million like you have, so you're at an advantage than most, but from your perspective, what is your go-to-market strategy, and what would you advise maybe smaller, less funded indie developers to go to market in this AI world?
Totally. So the thing that we're going to be focusing on, we understand that it's not going to be easy to get the large financial institutions of the world to come on and put funds on Miden at the earliest stages, let's say when we go to mainnet later this summer. But in the earlier stages, we have some ecosystem companies building out some interesting things with dark pools, with private payments, with prop AMMs, with the ability to interact privately on DeFi across chains in a way that, you put funds on Miden and you can interact on DeFi everywhere. And we're going to be starting with Hyperliquid there and then moving on to EVM and SVM from there. So there's interesting things that people will be able to do. We've been very selective when it comes to the builders that are initially building. There's been this spray and pray mentality when it comes to grants of people just sort of throwing grant money left and right. And it's created this this world where there's just like grant mercenaries almost is what I've seen them as. And, building on Miden is much more difficult in a way than building on other chains. We're a Rust-based non-EVM L2, and so you can't really do the copy pasta from other chains where you're like, oh, I've made a Uniswap v3 fork or something like that and just added it here. Now give me my money. So all the devs that we have been very committed, top types of people to be building out the tech for what we're looking to do. Early stages is going to be, we're thinking, market makers, liquid funds, foundations that are looking to do simple things, treasury management. But something you mentioned that, we're kicking around is actually, when you think about the idea of agents interacting on chain and agents using stable coins and everything that people's talking about, one of the things we haven't seen is the idea of privacy for agents in messaging, privacy for agents in transactions, privacy overall, right? Like, we saw Multibook a couple months back now, maybe, and it was basically like a human UI of what it would look like when agents are interacting with each other. But like, why do we actually need the human UI version of this if agents are going to be acting on behalf of humans or autonomously at some point? They're absolutely going to want privacy, whether it's in their conversations or if it's going to be in their payments. So there's a lot that we're actually kicking around with when it comes to the way Miden architecture works, some of the things that we're thinking about when it comes to being the agentic infrastructure, invisible layer for agents to be able to seamlessly interact.
Absolutely. And what advice would you give, I guess, the solo indie builder trying to go to market with anything that they build, maybe not as funded as you guys? Do you have any ideas on that?
Honestly, the last couple of weeks have proven to be very good when it comes to fundraising announcements. I mean, earlier this week, we saw Han Ventures announced a $1 billion fund, and A16Z announced a $2.2 billion fund. And it wasn't long ago that Dragonfly announced a $650 million fund. And all of these are showing that they're not trying to be pure crypto funds. Every single one of their press releases is mentioning AI. And so the biggest advice that I would give is that we've sort of seen people talking about, crypto over here and AI over here. And we've started to see people now more talk about, well, the intersection of crypto needing, like AI needing to use payments will end up using crypto. And I think a lot more about trying to understand the perspective outside of the human. We built so much of crypto around what humans would do and humans would use, and thinking about it sort of through the lens. I mean, Hasib from Dragonfly, talked a lot about this a couple months back, is just that crypto is built for AI. And so thinking about, what are the kinds of things that would make sense? Like if you even think about, I don't know, the address spoofing that goes on where the beginning and the end of an address is the same, but it ends up being something else when you send the transaction, and you end up, getting all your funds sent somewhere else and just basically drained. A robot wouldn't make those mistakes. An agent wouldn't make that as a mistake. Or, we think about when a network launches, let's say like us, like, oh, if you're not, on MetaMask, which makes it easier to use, like an agent doesn't care about that. So I think asking builders to start thinking through the lens of, and it sounds very abstract, but thinking through the lens of an agent. What would an agent want? How would an agent think? What would be good for an agent? Because if we're moving into this agentic economy, then thinking through the lens of what humans have historically wanted is just outdated.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And by the way, when mainnet goes live, keep me in mind, because if some of these developers are on, I would love to feature them, because we need to put the spotlight on companies who prioritize privacy. And I truly believe that. And if I can help amplify, I would love that as well. Azim, we probably need to wrap it up. We have over 3,100 people tuning in. Any last words that you have for people tuning in?
Honestly, I would just say any questions that you might have. My Twitter DMs are open, and my Telegram handle is the same as my Twitter handle, AZEEMK. Would love to hear from people. 3,100 people. Thank you for listening. And if you had any thoughts around anything that I said, please feel free to reach out.
Absolutely, my friend. We will have a couple of clips made as well for this show, for your segment. Okay. We'll share it with you. We'll tag you. I'll add you as well. And we'll cut up your episode, put it onto Spotify so more people can know the word about what you're doing with Miden. My friend, pleasure to meet you, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
You too. All right, everyone. That was Azim from Miden. Really important to understand the narrative of privacy and how important it is in today's world. But guys, listen, that's it. We reached our goal again. 3,100 people tuning in. Appreciate each and every one of you. We're back at it once again tomorrow. Actually, no, tomorrow's Friday. No, your boy finally is taking a day off. Hell yeah. Monday through Thursday. We don't need Fridays. Your boy needs to chill because I have a life. And hopefully you do too. And I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you guys learned something. I thought that was a great episode. We learned a lot. Thank you for all the guests tuning in. And thank you as well for showing up. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Catch you guys Monday for another stream. Cheers.